welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I think that's what I used to say, right? For today's video though, let's get right into the subject, which is my most worn dresses of 2024. So there's 6 dresses I'm going to be showing, and they are tied for first and second place. I'll also talk a teeny tiny bit about my least worn dresses at the end of the video, mostly because I sold quite a few of them, so I can't really show them because like half of them are gone. Let's start with number 1, which is Dream Marine from Angelic Pretty. To me, this is not really a surprising contender for top worn dresses. It is arguably one of my most comfortable dresses for the lovely amount of full back shirring and the very high waist, which means it doesn't sit on my actual like stomach or waistline. It basically sits right under my bust, and when I'm bloated, which happens a lot because of health issues, it's very comfortable for that reason. I also find it very easy to coordinate because I gravitate towards sax, pink, and lavender as like my most basic color palette or colors, and those just go perfectly with this dress. It is also one of my most complimented dresses. Every time I wear this, people compliment me and specifically say that they love this dress. So I gravitate towards it a lot because I feel like it's very flattering on me. I feel very comfortable in it, and I find it easy to coordinate. So I wore Dream Marine 8 times in 2024. My next most worn dress is Jewelry Jelly. Again, these are tied, so I also wore it 8 times. And again, not a shocker, I actually believe that Jewelry Jelly is one of my top most worn dresses in my whole wardrobe. I believe it might actually be number 1. It is just, again, a very comfortable dress, full back shirring, and it is sort of my winter version of Dream Marine in that it's comfortable and easy to coordinate, but instead of being polyester, which I prefer in the summer, it's cotton, so I can wear it in winter. I know a lot of people don't really like wearing polyester in the summer, and I totally understand because it's not very breathable, but the winters here are so cold that you physically cannot wear polyester usually because the wind and cold just cuts through it completely. And while I layer and usually wear like leggings and my bloomers and sweaters, etc. with my Lolita in winter, it's sometimes just not doable to wear poly. So I do love my cotton dresses in winter a lot. Again, the color palette on this one is just very charming. I used to coordinate it a lot with mint, but I think I've done it a lot to the point where now I tend to go back to just like pink coordinates with it, you know, the default for Sweet Lolita. But I really love this one. I'm lucky to have a not too faded or damaged Jewelry Jelly, even though some parts of the lavender are basically pink now on the straps. It's not really that visible, so I still continue to wear it a lot. This is a dress that I can't really imagine myself selling at any point unless I'm no longer in Lolita. And the last dress that's tied for first place with, again, 8 wears is Kumiya's Love Heart Embroidery. Now, this is a bit of a sneak because it is my only BTSSB dress, and it managed to make its way into my top 3 for 2024. This dress had been on my wish list, but low priority for quite a while. And to be honest, I think the reason it ended up in my wardrobe is because I saw it in real life when I was in Osaka, and I bought it at Closet Child. It was a really good price, I think around like 250 Canadian, and it's quite hard to find at that price secondhand in the Western market, I think, because it is a popular dress and people tend, in my opinion, to sell BTSSB releases a bit less than Angelic Pretty ones. Or maybe I'm just not as observant to them. Real BTSSB stans, please comment below. So because of so low price, I don't know if I would have ever bought it like online, but when I saw it in Osaka, I loved it. I tried it on, and I was so happy it fit me, and I decided to buy it. And I'm really, really happy I did. It's become one of my favorite dresses to coordinate. Part of the fact is that it's like completely pink. I don't really have many solid dresses in my wardrobe, and I don't love solids to the same degree I love prints. So this to me is like a perfect middle ground where it is a print, but the print is the same color practically as the dress. In that way, it almost reads as a solid. I just find it very easy to pair with any color because of that. And I do love the themes, especially with all the hearts embroidered on it. I tend to pair it with lavender a lot, but I think I've worn it with practically every color at this point. So it's no surprise to me that I reach for this one a lot. I do think I've reached for it a little bit less in like the second half of 2024 going into 2025, just because I wore it so much and I'm trying to give love to some of my other dresses. But it is definitely one of those dresses I can reach for where I just want to feel pretty and I want to do something that I know I'll love no matter if it's like simple or OTT. Everything works with this dress and I love it so much for that reason. And one of the reasons I don't have too many BTSSB dresses or items in my wardrobe is because I actually don't really like mixing different types of lace. So I like tulle lace and some cotton lace, that's patterned, and I stick to that. I don't really like having like Rachel lace or torchon lace in my wardrobe, and most BTSSB dresses don't have tulle lace. They have torchon, but this one has tulle lace and some cotton along the bodice that's patterned with kumias and bees. So I really love it for that reason. It feels like one of the few BTSSB dresses that I both really love and that really suits my wardrobe, and I'm very grateful to have it. Okay, now we're moving into my dresses tied for second place, and these have all been worn 7 times. There are 3 dresses in this video that I bought in 2023, and Soap Bubbles is one of them, alongside Kumia's Love Heart Embroidery and an upcoming one. And I do think that contributes to the reason I wore it so much. I don't think I buy Lolita dresses at the same pace as a lot of people in the comm. I've been wearing Lolita since 2018, and at the moment I have 23 dresses, and I just sold off I think maybe like 5 or 6. And I've seen people who have been in the fashion for more than 5 years with a lot more dresses, but I just personally prefer to feature things outside of main pieces. That being said, I am still a sucker for my new pieces, of course, and when I do get a new dress, I tend to wear it a lot. Soap Bubbles is one that I was very on the fence about buying. I could have bought it when it came out in the re-release, but I thought it would be too competitive and I was a bit too on the fence about whether or not I thought I would actually like it, and I decided to pass on it and just kind of think about it. And I'm glad I did, because I became more sure that I wanted it in time, and finally I spotted this gorgeous yellow one on the secondhand Japanese market and decided to snatch it up. I believe again that it was around $250. It wasn't a bad price if I remember. And it was brand new with tag. And it's my only yellow dress. I really, really, really love it. Again, it has all those qualities I really like. Colorful, and it's comfortable, and it's just very purely sweet. It's so gorgeous with like all the layers of fabric and all the different like pure, perfect pastel colors. I will say like maybe the yellow could be technically a bit paler. I do love that like older AP like vanilla yellow than like this brighter sunshine yellow. Like this is daisy yellow and I like Easter yellow, I guess. I don't know, but I still really love it, and I find because the yellow is so bright, bringing the other colors out of it in coordinates makes it really fun and can really feature those colors. I was worried about this like bust line when I bought it because of where it might sit. I'm generally broad in the ribs and shoulders compared to like my height and weight. So I don't really love the idea of something making my bust look potentially larger, but in the end I actually find that it just helps with the shoulder balance, so it works out, and in the end I found this cut quite flattering on me. I think it looks quite good, so very happy with this purchase. And again, tied for second place, we have Fancy Border, which is the last of the dresses that I bought in 2023, which are in my tops. I also bought this one in Japan. I was there the weekend that Fancy Border was released, and when I had seen it in the lookbook, I was pretty confident that I wanted to buy it. I knew that it was my favorite release from AP that year, and I wasn't sure, we had a busy day. I was doing a lot of other activities than looking for the specific dress in Japan, and I told myself, look, if it's there at the end of the day, I'm gonna buy it. And lucky me, I got the last pink one at the Shinjuku store, I believe. And the shop girl even told me that I was very lucky. A lot of the items were sold out, and I think this collection did quite well, so I'm really happy to have this one. Though I would have been happy with most colors other than the black, because there's so many colors on it that the colorways don't really look that different in terms of how you can core them, in my opinion. With this dress and Kumia's Love Heart Embroidery, I realized that it is quite different when you're able to shop in person, especially for main pieces, because there's always the worry when you order them online about how they're going to fit or if they're going to look different than expected in terms of like the colors, the cut, you know, how it's actually going to sit, the material it's made out of. I've had, you know, probably like 3 or 4 dresses that when they arrived, I immediately knew I was going to sell them because they just weren't what I was expecting. And I find that these 2 dresses I was able to buy in person, I just loved them so much, and I reached for them so much because I knew exactly what to expect when I wore them. So being able to try something on and really like contemplate and consider before you buy it made me love these dresses even more. And of course, there's very special memories associated with them. Even though both of them, the memory is that I was extremely sweaty after a day of walking like 20,000 steps in like 26-degree weather. One thing I love about this dress is the combination of like stripes and polka dots, and I also really love that it looks like a fancy sweater. Even though most people don't get it, I think this is a Christmas dress, and I associate it with winter and Christmas time because, again, to me it looks like a fancy sweater, and I love the idea of wearing that at Christmas. So yeah, my pastel Christmas dress. But I do have to say this material is extremely fragile, and there's quite a few pulls in it. It tugs on everything. So that's unfortunate because there's obviously damage to it, but I try and be careful, and I try not to let that stop me from wearing it because I do really love it. And last but most certainly not least, in my second place and last dress that I'm going to show you guys today is Marshmallow Bunny. Now, Marshmallow Bunny is very special because it is one of 2 most worn dresses, but it was an impulse buy. It's actually one of the few dresses in my wardrobe that was not on my wish list when I purchased it. I'm usually quite strict, and I reevaluate my wish list every few months to make sure I'm happy with it. But I saw this one, and at the time I didn't really have a super cohesive wish list. I had just started to save dresses I thought I might like, and I thought that it could be really nice to have a dress that had a bit less of a print on it and in a bit less overwhelming colors, and turns out I was right. It is also easily my most comfortable dress. It has a delightful amount of full back shirring, and these mini cap sleeves are just super comfortable. It's so easy to coordinate. It's one of the few dresses where like I don't really have to pair a top with it. I just put it on a bracelet, a shoe, and I go. It's one of the dresses I like dress down the most, and for that reason it always is in my top most worn because it's like I do full coordinates with it, but it's also the easiest dress to not do full coordinates with. So it's easy to make sure that it's very worn because of that. Funnily enough, I don't think it's like within my typical color palette in that the teals are quite dark. There's greens instead of like mints, but you know, there's the sax bows and the mint bow and the pink one, and I don't see any issue with coordinating it. I usually wear it with sax the most, and it makes me very, very happy. Like I said, because I do relatively simple coordinates with this one, I don't necessarily focus a lot on the color palette or an interesting color palette even. This is, again, a dress I don't really see myself selling unless I leave Lolita. I feel like even if I were to mostly sell off my wardrobe, I could keep this one because I don't need a lot of accessories and items to coordinate it with. Yeah, Marshmallow Bunny. Maybe sometimes impulse purchases can be okay. And actually, impulse purchases is a video I will probably make a subject on in my return. Now, as promised, let us briefly talk about least worn dresses. I had to get my notebook for this one. At the time I wrote my list, I had 28 dresses, and of my least worn dresses, I've sold 7 since writing it. So yeah, I did a closet cleanup, my biggest closet cleanup that I've ever done at the beginning of 2025, and I kind of just finished it, and now it's the end of February. I really just wanted to be able to cut down on some of the items I wasn't wearing as much, or that I felt like weren't necessarily sparking joy, let's say, as much as they did when I first bought them. From my list of ones I've sold, I wore Fresh Strawberry Diner only once in 2024. I wore my schoolgirl skirt only twice in 2024, Milky Berry only twice in 2024, and Aqua Princess only once. There are quite a few of my items that I wore only 3 or 4 times. I think 4 or 5 was like actually the average, but there is one dress that I actually did not wear at all in 2024, and I have that one. I didn't sell it, so I can show you it. It was Twinkle Mermaid. a very, I guess, famous dress in the community. Well known, well considered, well loved, hopefully. I didn't wear her at all in 2024, which might be surprising considering this is such a coveted dress by some people, but let me explain. It's a very old one, partially why it's so coveted. Coveted? I don't know, I'm French Canadian. So right here on the side, which is an awkward kind of part to show, the fabric has gotten quite loose and it doesn't really sit against my skin, or I guess even against the lining of the dress. It does this kind of thing where it's like 3 little rolls of fabric that you can see on the side, and that's not necessarily the silhouette I aim for when I wear any type of clothes, because it's not what the dress is meant to look like either. I took it to a tailor, the one who alters my garments, and she said that unfortunately there's not much that can be done without actually cutting the fabric itself and discarding it, which I felt like was a bit of a risky alteration, especially for a dress that I wouldn't reach for frequently, even if it was in perfect condition. One, because it's not the most on-brand thing for me. It's not the most in line with my current style, but also because it is quite old and quite delicate in comparison to some of my other dresses. It is also quite short. I used to not really mind shortness or short Lolita dresses that much, but I've grown to prefer dresses that go to or past my knees, and Twinkle Mermaid visibly ends before it. I think it is just a change in preference. I still really like short Lolita dresses, especially on other people. I think because my style leans towards modern suite, which in Japanese brand styles tends to be getting longer, if anything. And I associate shorter dresses with old school or more like experimental Lolita. I don't really prefer them on me because that's not the aesthetic I'm going for right now at all. But I made the effort to put it on and make a coordinate with it in 2025, and I really like that coordinate. So I'm very happy. I was kind of on the fence and had considered more than a few times of selling Twinkle Mermaid and couldn't bring myself to do it. And now I'm confident that I won't, anytime soon, because I have coordinated again. I liked it. I felt good in that coordinate. It's just that I kind of need to wear this one with a cardigan because it doesn't really look good any other way. Luckily, if you know anything about me, you know that when it comes to cardigans, I have a lot of choices, so I think I'll be fine. That is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what your most worn dresses of 2024 were and maybe which ones you're trying to wear more in 2025. As usual, I'm just trying to be equal and spread the love across my closet. Now that I've trimmed it down a little bit, it's actually kind of easier to choose what dress I'm gonna wear and make a new coordinate. And it's still winter, so I am basically still wearing my cotton ones mostly, unless I'm staying inside all day. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you in my next video, but until then, bye-bye!